Howdy! JT's here, Cammy's here. Who else is here? Sorry, I missed. Hi, Laura, Timothy, Linda, Marcy. Is that Bausch? 2187? Gulf Coast is here. Kimberly's here from Denver. Backcountry. Marcy. U2 Conga. U2 fan from OC. We got Orange County here. Yeah, you missed it. We'll talk about Charleston. It was definitely there. Force is strong here. Yay, Sherry. There you go. It's Father's Day. I'm wearing my Father's Day present. Hi, Pascal. Heather's here. Cool. Hello, Linda. Hi, Tash. Love is the lesson. We'll get there. Be patient. I'm here at U2. Hi, Matt. Cool. I got a bunch of you. Now you can hear me, JT? What'd you do? Have me muted? It's probably much better that way, except then you just have to look at me. That's horrible. Hey, JB Brookman. I was watching you tonight. Thank you for doing that. It's great. I'm gonna turn my tunes down here, huh? AGMW Vol, right? Cool. Father to Fate. Out of Control. That'd be cool. I gotta get that. So if I can do it right, I can do I Am Your Fate. That's funny. All right, I gotta look up some tweets here. What did I say tonight? I think I had a few things to say. It is hot in Fresno. My car said 102 when I ran out just before the concert. Yes, it is. Oh, yeah, if I do that. There we go. I am your fater. Was it a nice sunset, Tesh? I didn't even look outside. I should have. Hot in Florida. Matt, hot in Washington, huh, Matt? Okay, let me get a couple things up here. Good to see all you guys tonight. We'll get right into it. You know how I've said this before, but you know what tweets do for me is they function as kind of my journal. So when I start tweeting, then I have to look back over them. Like I'll do that later tonight. I'll look at my tweets again and think, man, what was going on with the show and how do I want to think about that, you know? So that's one of the reasons I tweet. I wonder if in, hundreds of years, like we go back over the, the journals and the letters of C.S. Lewis or Abraham Lincoln or, even further back, we look at all their correspondence. I wonder if somebody's going to dig through all our tweets, not that I'll ever be important enough for that. Hey, I got to show you guys something, all right? Are we all here? We're getting close. I was watching the Periscope guys, some good news. I was watching the Periscope guys this afternoon. No, I watched them this afternoon, but last night is when they had their announcement. And their big announcement was so nice because everybody's bugging them about landscape on this thing. And they said they're coming up with landscape. But right now, of course, you all had to turn your phones or devices. So I'll go back. If you're watching on computer, do you turn your screen? Is YouTube brother here? I missed him. Hey, Mark. Okay, but I got to show you guys something first, okay? Because I added a little piece of inspiration to my little home office here, which really is nothing big. But, let me show you this. Okay, I'll back up. And, you like? You get it? Can you see what's happening there? I want to see some hearts. Look at that. Now, you can do something like order a thing like that. Like you can go in some kind of catalog, right? And you can buy one of those for $60, $100, $100 and whatever dollars. I made that puppy for $20 at Home Depot. Woo! It doesn't quite have this. If I played it in slow motion, you know, then we'd have a little of a swing, right? And that I just got framed. So it's not an expensive frame. I just went and did it myself. But that is, of course, maybe some of you know, that's the Rose Bowl. And I've had this for a little while now. And I don't really have any, you know, kind of paraphernalia or collectibles. This one cost me a chunk. Yeah, I used my 25% off coupon when I re-upped in U2.com. But the reason this is so significant is this is the Rose Bowl, and I was at that show, and I was standing, that's not my hand. I was standing back a little bit more, so the bridge had just crossed over me as they came together. I was right in front of the Edge's set of pedals. At Rose Bowl. And yeah, I know some of you were there too. That's sweet, huh? So anyway, there's my fun project that I've been working on the last couple of days. I had to crawl around in my attic. You know, all I did is I put a cord up through the roof, and I went and found a plug up there, put a dimmer on it and everything, and it really wasn't that hard. It's got a little switch on it that I just go on and off with right there. Boom, there we go, and you know, boom. So cool, huh? Anyway, sorry I wasn't getting all those comments. You can, and I know it glitches when it switches back over there, so I probably need to remember that. And if you have some comments you want to repeat, I missed most of those, so sorry. That's my deal. That's my inspiration. I actually sit here and work with that thing on all day now. So it's about a 5-inch round, maybe 6-inch round bowl. So yeah. All right. Thank you, Becky. Good to see you. Well, I guess you see me. Does it make me dizzy? No, it doesn't. Yeah, you know, so this bulb thing, right? I didn't plan on this, but this whole bulb thing started in ultraviolet, right? Baby, 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 light my way. A light bulb hanging over my bed. So maybe I'll have to get one there too. It's actually, how is it fastened from the ceiling? I just, you know, I've got an attic right above this. It kind of comes down, the roof comes right down to it, so I had to crawl up there. But I just shoved the cord, I drilled a little tiny hole and just shoved the cord right through it, and I made it so tight that it's not really sliding up and down. So it's hanging there. It makes actually pretty decent lighting for doing this Periscope stuff too. All right, do the show. Man. One of the fun things about watching the show tonight is that Willie Williams has just released a set of 4 articles. Well, actually, he did one interview, and it was Design Live. Is that it? See, now I'm on the spot again. I always miss. Help me out, Matt. Isn't it Live Design? Yeah, Live Design published the interviews in 4 parts. And I think the best was the 4th part, where he was talking about the lighting that was going on with these, in part 3 and part 4, he talked about this fluorescent lighting. So if you've been to the show and you were real keen, you saw that under the screen that comes down on the ramp, I guess they're calling it the cage, at least this part is, there's what looks like fluorescent tubes lining the thing. And those fluorescent tubes are not fluorescent tubes, because apparently fluorescents give off, I didn't realize this, it makes sense, but they give all kinds of radio frequency stuff that would wreak havoc with their equipment. So they had to design LED lights that look like fluorescent tubes. Somebody correct me if you read it differently, but this is what I'm coming up with. They designed LED long lights, and Willie Williams was very specific. He said he didn't want them to do anything else. He didn't want them to change colors. He just wanted them to look like fluorescent tubes. And they even built relays into them to give them a little shimmery kind of fluorescent look and everything. So they look exactly like fluorescent tubes, and they look like old fluorescent tubes. So when they're doing wolves and they're standing under that cage, it looks like, Willie said he wanted it to look like an old, ugly underpass or a scary bathroom that you wouldn't walk into. And that's what it looks like. It looks all kind of seedy, and, it's just this kind of desperate environment that it creates. So Willie Williams, I say, wow, double thumbs up, right? And success, because what he's doing in Wolves is he's creating an environment there. And that extends actually back through the first set of songs when he's just using white light. The bulb thing, again, it's warm, but it's white light. And he's trying to create that punk scene in those first 4 songs or so. So it's all white, kind of naked light, I think, as they say. But here's the really cool thing that happens then in City of Blinding Lights. They use those tubes. It's not the same tubes. They don't take them out of the cage, but the same type of lights they use on City of Blinding Lights, and they used it once on Bad, and that was Vancouver #2, which some of us were at. And I wrote an article on At You Too about Matt and Sherry and I kind of combined energy on that article. But yeah, that's great, YouTube Conga, Carnival Midway lighting. It's that kind of thing. It's like that traveling carny show, right? And if you've seen it live or watched on Periscope, you'll notice that they pop these lights up. They're laying down on the stage, so those are the same lights. They're the ones that are laying. They have a set of fluorescent tubes on the stage, and then they have them up above in the cage, and they pop those. They swing those up, and the people that swing them up, I love this. Willie Williams calls them lampies. And it used to be my goal in life to run the Jungle Boat ride at Disneyland. My goal in life now, please, Willie, if you're listening, let me be a lampy for one concert. I want to be a lampy. I want to put those lamps up and run around and then jump off. How's that for a dream? That's big. So anyway, they put these fluorescent tubes up. They're not tubes, but they look like tubes. And then they bring some down from the ceiling, and some of them are vertical and some of them are horizontal. And I've always assumed this was what they were trying to do, but Willie Williams' 4th interview confirms it. Those are meant to be optical illusions of sorts that create crosses. So when you look at them from any different direction, there's a pretty good chance that a vertical and a horizontal are going to line up so that they form a cross. So you have to understand, again, the narrative of this thing, which it's just coming to me more and more as I get into this show. Look what's happening. The old, dodgy, seedy, desperate light fixtures of Wolves are now reappropriated and redeemed into what? Crosses. Isn't that great? I mean, that's enough for me right there to just shut down and think about for a while. It's absolutely gorgeous. So much to say about reappropriation and reuse and desperation into light, and as Bono talks about in the show, a hole created the artist. Something that was a vacuum and empty, created something that would bring joy and give life. Speaking about his mother's death, of course. So maybe some of you aren't into that whole meta-narrative thing, that whole sub-story that's going on. That's why I always get upset when the Periscopers, they're out there. There are a few of them tonight. Thank you, JB, right? You're online. Thank you so much. I watched your feed a bunch, and there were some others. But I like hearing the transitions in between the songs because I'm watching for all that stuff, and I want those comments, and I want to hear what Bono is saying. And yeah, JB, there you are. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. You did a good job. So that's just one thought I had. The other is of Charleston. Bono did give a shout out to Charleston. And for me, something was going on because I think the Charleston thing has really impacted me, and it was a week ago tonight, about right now, 1 week ago right now, that the shooting took place. You know what, yeah, I'm sorry, that was 9 o'clock South Carolina time, and it's about, I think it's 9 o'clock here. Yeah, so okay, it was 3 hours ago. And I've thought a lot about that this week in the absence of you too. And tonight I kind of heard every song with that in mind. And for me, Wolves, that line about belief, and I can never think when there's a song on. Blood in the house, blood in the street, the worst things in the world are justified by belief. And that's what was going on with kind of this white supremacist guy, in a church at a Bible study. I read a bunch, and this guy who did the shootings, he almost didn't go through with them. It actually took him an hour. He was so embraced by this congregation and so loved by them. He told the police this. The police are reporting that he told them. So we haven't heard it from his mouth. But he was so warmly accepted by this crowd of 20 or so African Americans, and he is the white guy. He was so warmly accepted that he almost didn't go through with the act of shooting him. And then he said he psyched himself up, he filled himself with rage and hate again, and then he went through with it. And it's just tragic. Yeah, Becky, I'll get to that. One of the kids who was shot, he was a African American kid. Other members reported this too, but he looked at this perpetrator, and as you could see being filled with rage, he said, "Man, you don't have to do this. You don't have to do this." So this congregation is just filled with love. Even as I heard Edge's really angry guitar tonight, it just felt angrier than usual. And Bono says, "A young boy moans while everybody stares into their cell phones. A young boy moans." And I think, he's talking about himself, but I could easily imagine him talking about this young African American kid that was gunned down inside the church 1 week ago tonight too. And we can't just sit and stare into our cell phones. This peace, as they say in this concert, is an action. It's an active response. So if we're going to, Bono was yelling again tonight, "I run into the arms of America. Don't shoot. I can't breathe." And then, okay, so what he did, when he got to the moment in Pride where he talks about peace, and he says, peace as an action. Peace is an action. And then he kind of was talking to Dr. King, and he said, "We need you more than ever, Dr. King, in Baltimore, in Ferguson," and then he just yelled out, "in Charleston." And that was pretty much the extent that I heard of his comments. If somebody else heard something else, kick in here. And I'd love to get that from you too. So that's kind of where I was tonight. I was thinking about all those voices that have been lost, that have been silenced. The recent album has so much to do with voices and honoring the past and turning something that was painful into something joyful. So I was thinking about those families tonight that are just beginning a whole series of funerals. And I have to think, what am I going to do about that? And how will my life represent peace and justice and action that will convey that love? Okay, so let's go with some questions here. Bono didn't say anything that I heard about the Boston bomber. I would guess he might be saving that for Boston, huh? And the news today is that the Boston bomber apologized to the families for the lives that were lost there too. And that's probably not something that many people had expected. And I'm sure that a lot of people will not accept that. No, I didn't hear anything about that from Bono, but wow, it would be startling if he didn't say anything when he got to Bono. Here's your arms question. I know you tried to ask this so many times, McDonald, right? Trying to throw your arms around the world. I don't know what though. I really don't have much opinion on set lists, other than I want to hear Crystal Ballroom, which we know has been practiced and probably will come, and stand-up comedy, but that'll never happen. So, probably not. I don't know why they would bring Trying to Throw Your Arms Around the World in, but I've been there when they've done Wild Horses just because some guy, Michael, had the sign up. Man, he's done it twice now. Oh, yeah, thanks, Sherry. He didn't apologize. Did he say he was sorry? He was sorry for the lives that were lost or something of that nature. Yeah, I'm Sherry, you live in Boston. I'm sure you're following it a lot closer than I am. So, how'd the Red Sox do tonight, Sherry? I didn't even look. Yeah. Okay. The Red Sox won, T-Big says. All right. Good for Sherry. Yeah. Hi, Tesh. I just saw your question on Twitter, I think it was. Hey, great new feature Periscope just announced yesterday. If for all the web users, you can actually go online now and you can watch this again for 24 hours. So it's just been, I'm sorry, Sherry, let's get this. He acknowledged the loss of life, but didn't rescind the terror. Okay, thanks, Sherry. So I think you'd have to go into my Twitter. You can find this Periscope and you can click on that link. That's the way you would do it, Tesh. And then you can replay this. But I'm posting these on my YouTube channel called the Crystal Ballroom. It usually takes me a day, and then I'll have it up there, and you can watch it anytime you want to. So that'll be an opportunity for you. What are you all into tonight? What did you hear? Oh, what was Ordinary Love, of course, right? So, and an acoustic version, which was just gorgeous. I love that song. Nelson Mandela, a story about him. And so the comment I picked up on and that we had a little conversation about online was about the new album, because he mentioned the new album, Songs of Experience, and he said something about, the mix and the selection of tunes, and then he joked about Edge still trying to remix the set of tunes for Songs of Innocence, which, Edge says a song is never, or an album is never done, it's just released. And I feel that way about so much of life. Nothing's ever through. We just kind of go to the next iteration of it. And he hinted at, he didn't probably confirm as far as I like, but he hinted at that Ordinary Love might be on Songs of Experience, and how cool would that be? That'd be great. JT, you said you were asking about his voice, and I think that especially at the beginning. Didn't it sound like maybe there was a cold or something going on? Like, I'm all stuffed up, but I'm not singing for a living. But there might have been something going on there. I'm not sure. So a little bit raspy. Hey, answer his personal business. Yeah, never bank on Bono's word as the final word, right? In terms of what's going to be on an album and when it's coming out and all that. He's the least dependable resource on album stuff. That is for sure. You know what I can do, guys? I put together a tribute. I don't know if you're interested in this. You can let me know. Maybe some of you want to jump off if you're not interested in this. But in the church that I go to, I led some worship this last weekend, and I put together a little bit of a commemoration for the Charleston victims, including their pictures and some quotes from their relatives who offered forgiveness for the shooter. It's just quite startling, and that's one of the reasons I was wondering if Bono would mention more about it tonight, is because of the remarkable spirit of reconciliation this congregation has that was attacked by this perpetrator. And the really exciting thing about it is that I have a brother-in-law who's in town just for this week, and he's a classical and jazz pianist, and he teaches at a university. And there is an outstanding jazz pianist. His name is Oscar Peterson from the 1960s. He was an African-American from Montreal, and his inspiration was Southern gospel and jazz style. And so he wrote a piece for the civil rights movement called Hymn of Freedom. And so this last Sunday, I put a collage of pictures of the Charleston victims together, along with some quotes from their relatives, and we played that while my brother-in-law, this jazz pianist, played this amazing hymn to freedom along with it. And if you're interested, I could show you a clip. I put it up on my Crystal Ballroom channel, so you can go see it there too if you want. But might be a nice way to end tonight too, if again we just kind of focus. It's just 5 minutes, 6 minutes long. It's not a big deal, but two things really strike me about this. One is my brother-in-law's amazing ability to play classical and jazz piano. He really is a professional. And then these quotes from these relatives. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. A few of you are saying you think that might be cool. So let me just kind of bring down the iTunes here. And if you want to jump off, that's fine. It's going to be about 5 minutes. I'm going to just show it on my screen here. There's really no great way to, show a video. This isn't a teaching software by any means. So let's see here what we can do. I'm just jumping ahead here a little bit, and then I'm gonna. All right, Pascal says, let's see it. I'll jump in the middle of a clip here, and I'm going to flip the screen around. Oh, you know what? I got to start this. It works so much better in QuickTime. There, I said it. I'm a PC guy, and I said it works better in QuickTime. How about that? All right, it's coming up here. Let me jump ahead a little bit again. I start out just a little bit talking about Turkey and Armenia, because what's really amazing is that there was a gathering of pastors in Turkey who invited Armenians from all over the world to Turkey to come to a meeting. And this was just a few months ago. And the Turkish pastors asked for forgiveness for the attempted genocide against the Armenians. The Turkish pastors weren't responsible for it, but they were asking for reconciliation, forgiveness on behalf of the sins of their fathers. And that was just stunning to me. And it's not something, I'm not so sure we shouldn't be doing something like that in America too. because it just doesn't seem like we've closed that chapter, and these moments of racism and violence are going to continue, unfortunately. Anyway, so let me pop this up on my screen, and I'll go. Yeah, I don't need to go full screen. That's fine. Lost it. And the crummy thing about this is I got to do it. Let's see if we can make that work. Okay, you got it? And there we go.
And John is a classical pianist as well as some wonderful food.
Turn it up.
Teaches at Cedarville University. And was inspired as we put these images together.
Thanks, Laura. Good night. Linda, Laura, yeah.
I wanted to say something about the piece that is playing.
I'm going to play a piece by Oscar Peterson, the greatest jazz pianist of all time. It's just my opinion, but it's my professional
Good night,
opinion.
guys.
Oscar grew up in Montreal, but quickly came to the United States and he was discovered as a teenager and was plunged into the crucible of the civil rights struggles at that time. And in the 60s, he wrote this piece in support of all those who were struggling for rights. It's called Hymn to Freedom. And it became somewhat of an anthem of the civil rights movement. So I'm going to play it while this slideshow shows. Oscar deliberately drew upon the church music of his childhood when he wrote this. He wanted to draw upon the gospel and Jewish sounds that he had so magnificently mastered as a jazz pianist. So you'll hear that. And then I'm going to tag on a tune at the end that you'll probably know.
Yeah, I'll finish and say goodbye when this is over in about another 4 minutes or so. Well, I think you probably, if you stuck through that, looks like a few of you did, um, probably could understand a little of the U2 subtext that was going on there too, right? So if you look through the Psalms, you have um, just instance after instance of this phrase, how long, how long, how long. And of course, that's what the band is doing on the War album, thinking about war as something both internal and external. But they really bracket the War album with this phrase, how long, right? Because you've got it in Sunday, Bloody Sunday in the first track, how long must we sing this song of pain, this song of anguish. And then you've got it in 40, which is the last track of War. And you've got how long to sing this song. So what'd you think of my brother-in-law's playing, though? That's some pretty top-notch piano right there. Like, seriously, technically, just, accurate and gorgeous and heartfelt all at the same time. And what strikes me about that piece that he selected is that it was, I had in my mind when we put this kind of media collage together to do something very mellow and reflective, and he brought us right into the church in Charleston almost, I think, with that piece. So I'm very grateful to him. In case he ever watches this, he'll see